This was before the age of comprehensive poll taking and image consultants and focus groups and people who come in and say, no, wear earth tones, it makes you seem nicer, or not that necktie, please. I mean, can you imagine telling that to Barry Goldwater? I mean, he'd throw you out of the room.
I've heard you on the floor before. Take this plane apart, hook by hook, piece by piece.
I came into the Senate in 1981, and we had our skirmishes.
You're out of your head.
Not the least of which was over a fighter plane, a T-46, and you know, he was somebody who knew something about planes.
I don't think he ever saw an airplane he didn't love. He drove the military crazy. He wanted to fly all of their airplanes, no matter how old he was. And he did it.
General Goldwater, did you fly her in all the way, sir?
Oh, yeah.
All the way from home?
Yep.
He flew every single Navy, Marine Corps, and Air Force airplane up to and including the B-1. He knew more about some airplanes than Air Force generals did.
Secretary Weinberger, I'd like to have a list of bases that you want to close and can close. I don't need them this afternoon, but maybe tomorrow morning would be time enough.
I kind of inherited Senator Goldwater from my brothers. In 1981, I was put on the Armed Services Committee. Barry Goldwater looked down to who the new member for the Democrats was, and he saw me and said, there goes the neighborhood. He was, in many respects, a senator's senator. He could differ, but he was never personal. He was never vindictive.
This is a changing world.
He had enormously powerful conservative beliefs about freedom.
In the 37 years I spent in uniform, I shared the conviction that there should not be gays in the military. But since retiring and thinking about it, I just figured I was barking up the wrong tree. It's a constitutional matter to begin with. Every man has freedom of speech as long as what he says doesn't hurt somebody, and freedom of association.
I was pleasantly surprised that he came out in favor of gays in the military. I felt like he was sticking up for me, and it felt really good. I was never in the closet. I was playing with dolls and, you know, just all the stuff. I told my mother when I was 14, and she said, yeah, I already knew. And then I guess she might have told my grandmother told him. It was never brought up, really.
Ty being gay was a real eye-opener for Barry because he adored him so much. I was there when he started talking to my mother about it and just saying, you know, we've just learned that Ty's gay. There was never a moment where he said, oh, this is awful. Never.
I don't think he really cared. He was just concerned that I be myself. I was in military school, you know, so I have this, you know, inkling of what it's like to be in the military, and it's not about sex.
We will have God back in America again.
Old Tom Jefferson had to separate the church and state, and the religious right scares the hell out of me. They should have no place in politics.
He made people so mad in Arizona, I remember, that they were thinking of taking his name off the Republican Party headquarters.
I don't think many Republicans wanted to attack Senator Goldwater in public. He was so revered in the party by that time. He was too big an icon.
It is with great pleasure that I present Senator Barry Morris Goldwater the Navy Distinguished Public Service Award.
Do you think that Senator Goldwater's politics changed as he got older?
Oh, yes, very definitely.
In what way?
I think he became a liberal. He'd be rolling today in his grave if he thought that I said that.
I reject the theory that he became more liberal. Barry Goldwater's politics didn't change. He started a libertarian, get government out of people's lives. What changed was the national political conversation and agenda. When Goldwater went into politics, abortion wasn't on the agenda. Gay rights wasn't on the agenda. The fact that Goldwater then confronted this new agenda and said, here's how you apply libertarian, minimal government, conservatism, doesn't mean that he changed. It meant the agenda had changed.
Frankly, I'm glad I'm getting out of the damn business.
Compared to today, he looks liberal to me.
Actually, I think when history is written, that you'll probably find the conservatives of my ilk being called liberal.
Goldwater's time on the national stage in terms of being a conservative leader had come and gone. His views on the social issues were not the views of most conservatives.
The movement has moved on, and I don't think it's moved someplace that he would be very happy. I think, God rest his soul, that he doesn't have to see what's happening today.
After my husband was elected president, Senator Goldwater read somewhere that I had supported him, and he actually sent me a big box of wonderful barbecue sauce and hot sauce, and it gave me a chance to, meet and thank someone who had been important in my life.
But he started a whole movement. I mean, these guys don't come along very often. I mean, to be fair to the current crop and to be respectful of what he accomplished, it's not very often that someone is the father of a movement that turns out to be ultimately, pretty successful. It's gone pretty far away from Goldwaterism. And, so it kind of makes him unique. I mean, that's why I agreed to do this. I wouldn't just do this for any kind of Republican senator.
Through the journey of doing this film, I was able to see how my aunts and uncles, my mother, weren't always the major priority in his life. I mean, I think deep down in his heart, his real true passion and love was his country.
It takes a long time to step back and see the past clearly, and I didn't realize until now the impact my grandfather had on this country. He served as a United States Senator for 30 years, and that was maybe the most important thing in his life. When he retired in 1986, he was 77 years old, and he was leaving Washington for the very last time as a senator.